If you're planning on buying or selling real estate here in the Spokane market in 2024, you must watch this video. We're going to find out what is going to happen in the real estate market this year. Hey everybody, it's Haydn, Halsted, your real estate resource here in Spokane, Washington. And today we're going to deep dive into the February numbers. At the beginning of March, the February numbers have come out and we're going to see what has happened in the last couple months. And plus, I went to the Spokane Real Estate Market Forum a couple weeks ago where over 600 real estate professionals come together. We have economic forecasters, people that are very involved in the real estate market here in Spokane, kind of give their opinions on what's going to happen in 2024, recap what happened in 2023. And so we're also going to see what some of these people that are doing major things in the real estate space here in Spokane, some people that own 500 rental properties, others that are specialists in waterfront property over in North Idaho, and kind of talking about the various aspects of real estate and where things are in our Spokane area. And so let's first dive into the numbers now that they are out. So the average median home price in Spokane did increase by 3.1% last month to $412,500. And so we did make quite a bit of an increase over the last couple months here coming out of 2023, and the kind of large decline we saw from June, July through December, January of this year. So I'm not surprised by this at all. Anecdotally, had multiple offer situations that I was going through in January and February, and so it totally makes sense that prices have increased over $20,000, 5% since the beginning of the year. And I think this is just going to be a continued trajectory. We just have to see how big this arc is going to be this year, and if it's going to stay high or if it's going to be another large up and down like we have seen over the last 2 years. So if you are somebody that's buying, people tend to wait for the spring market, the summer market, things like that. But now, historically, over the last 2 years, you're going to be paying a significant premium for that home compared to those that are buying at the bottom over the winter months. So you are going to deal with less inventory if you jump in now, but there's definitely a premium to be paid over the last few years if you're waiting till that June, July. And the people that have bought in June, July of the last few years are currently sitting with little to no equity. Those that bought in the winter are the ones that tend to have a little bit of equity because they were able to buy at a lower amount or lower cost out of pocket to get into their home because the seller was able to cover their closing costs, things like that. Now, lots of sellers are concerned that they've kind of missed the boat on selling their home, that they should have done it a couple years ago, things like that. But as you can see, that price, the peak price was $460, and we will get back there eventually, but we're still sitting at relatively the same price that we've been, give or take a few $10,000 for the last 3 years. And so you're still sitting at a peak high from what we've been. And on average, it's only taking about 14 days to get your home sold in the Spokane real estate market. And so if we're talking about how quickly your home will be sold, only 2 weeks on average is great. Obviously, that 3 days from a few years ago is amazing as well. But historically, in a real estate market, only 2 weeks being on the market on average is a great market to be in as a home seller. And now new listings is one that I'm most curious about, kind of seeing where are home sellers' minds at. Are they going to stay in their homes more again this year, or are we going to start seeing more listings hit the market? And so in February, we saw a slight decrease from the month prior, or about a 10% increase, but 710 to 642. So down about 70 listings on the market month over month. But if we look back, that's actually a weird pattern that we've seen over many months. If you go back to, even last year, you had a higher number in January than you did in February, and then it goes up in March. So we should expect this number. If we look back here to 2017, 18, and 19, they all had the same shape where January had more listings than February. And then they shot up like over 50% in March. So now that we are in the month of March, we should see a significant number of more listings hitting the market. And so if you've been waiting for inventory, this really should be the month for you. We're going to start seeing a lot more properties hit the market, especially if we're following the trend lines of what would be considered a normal market, which would be 2017 through 2019, where we were pretty balanced between buyers and sellers. I would expect this number to be any similar to here. We should probably see close to, I'm going to predict, we'll come back to this video in April. I would guess we'll see about 1,000 listings hit the market this month. So this will be the month of inventory for you guys that have been waiting and not seeing what you're looking for out there on the market. And so now a big theme of the real estate market forum here in Spokane was affordability, because it's the hot topic around here. The average, the median household income in Spokane is about $70,000. And with interest rates being where they're at, 7.14, which we're going to talk about interest rates and what the heck is going on there in just a second. So stick around for that. But with interest rates staying high, prices continuing to go up, affordability is the big issue. And so what I thought this slide was interesting. There's a website that called Spokane Trends that I hadn't heard of yet. And so it's a good resource through Eastern Washington University. I think it's just SpokaneTrends.com for various data points about Spokane. But they have one of the presenters said, this is what you see as a realtor in Spokane, is the number of home sales from 2018 to 2023 every quarter basically declining. So there's way less home sales. There's 600 less home sales in the Spokane area last year during quarter three than quarter three, or 800 I should say, than quarter three of 2018. So that's damaging. There's a lot of realtors that have been leaving the market space. There's a lot less deals to go around for each realtor, and there's a lot of realtors that have been in the market that are taking up more market share. So less deals to go around for everybody, and the best realtors are actually doing more deals and taking up, so that there's a lot less agents out there that are being able to manage doing 5 deals a year, 6 deals a year, that those agents are dropping out because it's just not sustainable, and they're not actually able to maintain that 5 to 6 right now, because people are wanting to work with a professional realtor, somebody that's really invested in this business for the long term. So now realtors are very focused on the number of sales going down because there's less properties for them to sell and less deals to do. But what the consumer sees, what you see here in Spokane, is just the rising price month over month, every single month. And so, and what you really feel with that is the affordability ratio going down, where basically the affordability ratio would say at 100 on a 100-point scale. 100 would mean that the average home price matched the average income, and it was 1-to-1 very affordable to, or it was deemed affordable to buy a home with the average income. So if you're at 119, above that number, it's extremely affordable based on the average income to buy a home. And so in 2018, it was more than average, I guess, more than easy to afford a home in that market. In 2021, we were balanced at 100 between affordability and income. And that's when the market was going crazy, like before, like right as we were having our first spike. But now we are at a 68.4. So now it is extremely unaffordable to purchase a home with the median income, because prices have gone up and incomes really have not gone up much at all. There are a few other key interesting takeaways, specifically from John Butler, who specializes in waterfront property over in North Idaho and here on the Washington side as well. If you want to talk about a real estate bubble, real estate balloon going on right now, it would be in that waterfront property where, I mean, it's just crazy, because in early 2000s, like 20 years ago, you could buy a lakefront property on Lake Coeur d'Alene for about $300,000 right before the real estate market crash. Prices went up from $300,000 to $1 million from like 2003 to 2008. They dropped down to $600,000. Now that average home price on Lake Coeur d'Alene is over $3.5 million. So we won't go to detail on that. But if you're interested in that, throw me a comment down below and I can review those numbers in another video, because it was just very crazy information to look at. So going back to affordability and interest rates, we were promised that interest rates were going to be going down in 2024. Every realtor that I knew was just like, 2024 is going to be an amazing year. Interest rates are coming down. There's going to be 6 interest rate drops, and that didn't happen. The Fed has basically said that, I mean, interest rate drops are still likely, but they don't really know when. And most likely it's going to be probably post-summer at this point, if at all, because inflation is still an issue at this point. We're still just recovering from printing so much money into the economy. So there's a slight bit relief in January, and I think that's why we saw so many sales right away, because some people were getting interest rates in the 5s with proper buy downs and everything like that. But right now we're at 7.14%. And so I think there were a lot of people that were like, I'm getting in the market, interest rates are low at 6.3, but maybe they didn't find the house that they were looking for. And they were like, you know what, I'm making this happen. And so I'm very curious to see how this will continue to affect our spring market. If people are going to just decide, you know what, interest rates are what they are and just go for it and buy it and then hope they can refinance down the road. Or if more people are going to continue sitting on the sidelines like they did in 2023 and just hope that interest rates subside eventually. Again, anecdotally, I was talking to a few different clients that had found me through this YouTube channel this week and had some really interesting conversations. One of the clients is we were talking about like what's going to happen is the market as a whole. He's in the tech industry. He's kind of worried about his job being on the chopping block if things go bad in the economy as a whole as a recession. And so we initially started our conversation with him being worried about the housing market and interest rates being high and all that kind of stuff. And we kind of talked it out. And then I realized his real concern was he'd buy a home and then lose his job because the economy doesn't really make sense. And that's totally true. Like, why? The stock market is at an all-time high right now. Bitcoin's at an all-time high right now. Everything is like, money is coming from somewhere and getting pumped into the system, but it's all being held up by like one or two, like I feel like instead of it being a four-legged stool, it's kind of a one to two-legged stool somehow. The stock market's being held up by like four major tech companies, Google, Nvidia, Meta, things like that. And if something were to happen and hit those companies hard, then the whole stock market would come down because they have about 70 to 80% of the leverage on the market right now. And so the question really is are those things going to affect our Spokane housing market? And the thing I always come back to is that in 2008, when the Great Recession, the great real estate market crash happened, the Spokane market did come down in price. There was about a 4-year correction where prices came down and then worked their way back up slowly. But even in 2021 or 2022, after interest rates increased, we had a greater drop in home prices in 2022 here in the Spokane market than we did in the 2008 recession. And so I keep coming back to, we've already kind of had a really big reset here in Spokane, and now we're kind of just bouncing back and forth, and it's really just kind of like a flat line, but we have had like, it kind of looks like Bitcoin where it's very volatile, going up and down every season. So you basically just have to decide, where is your money make the most sense? Would you rather put it in the stock market right now at the all-time high, assuming that it'll continue going up, which you should always probably just buy and hold, not investment advice or financial planner? Or do you feel like the real estate market in Spokane is a safe play where historically, even on the greatest of drops, it has stayed relatively steady and come back relatively quickly? I have some clients right now that are potentially buying a home for a 3 to 5 year plan, and I just am very upfront that it's very likely that they will not make any money. It may be potentially lose money on that home when they go to sell it. But if you plan on buying a home and intending on living there for 7, 10, 15 years, or at least keeping it as a rental in that amount of time, then you are more than likely going to be fine and be able to weather any storm that comes about in the Spokane area. And then lastly, going back to the affordable housing thing, I was talking to another client that's looking at trying to buy some lots of land here and then build some smaller affordable homes. We were talking about just where's the opportunity in Spokane. And I do think that we need more creative solutions for affordable housing in the Spokane area. If we go back to that original presentation, it basically shows that we're about 5,500 houses short in the Spokane area. I think that number is a little bit greater. But what we're building is not like affordable homes. They're average homes, but it doesn't mean that they're affordable to most people. What it also shows is that there are actually more apartments right now than what's needed. Vacancy rates, from what I've seen, have hit almost 9%, which is very high for our area, because there's been so many apartment buildings being built and incentivized. And so I don't understand why we are not incentivizing creative, affordable housing solutions, allowing small houses to be built close together in shared community and potentially shared equity pools. It may not be for you, but it could be for somebody, and it would really change their family history, their family trajectory, to be able to own a home and share in the equity with a group of people. And so there's so another thing at the market forum that I learned is the Panhandle Affordable Housing Alliance, something that we need here in Spokane, is creating a neighborhood in partnership with Haydn Homes where it's a shared equity type of thing. So there's a community land trusts, which is home only, or then de-restricted fee simple land in home, which is shared equity. But basically there's income and asset limitations to purchasing these homes. So people can only make up to a certain amount of money to purchase these homes or have a certain net worth. They must use it as their primary residence. And then there's a resale formula, meaning that they can only sell the home to people that qualify for those things that in that income range. And then they can only sell it for so much. And then they're restricted on how much they can sell it for a percentage. You could think of it as like a rent control for how much that house is going to buy. And now again, this might not sound like something for you would want to do specifically, but these things are prioritized for households earning $48,000 to $80,000 in their area, 60 to 85% of the average median income in their area. And it's given preference to first responders, teachers, medical workers, and there's just deed restrictions for like being able to sell it to certain people or how much that property can sell for. And so over there, they in Post Falls, I believe, they have Miracle on Britain. And so they're building, it's a huge development. I think it's a very large development, but they are working with builders to take a corner of every development and create the shared equity homes. And so they're creating 28 of them. The prices will be $200K to $420K. And they're working with Simplicity to build 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes that are totally workable or just good traditional like 3-bed, 2-bath homes in our area. And they're just affordable, which is the biggest thing. So again, my client's was looking at a piece of land where she could build like 4 smaller homes. We're talking about like 2-bed, 1.5 bath, things that we're going to be able to sell for in the mid 300 range in the future, but they're kind of like in the country a little bit. And it would just be something that Spokane doesn't have. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that we're building a lot of the same stuff and we're not looking at something creative to provide new opportunities for people that haven't been able to purchase a home on their own. I do not think the answer is building more apartment buildings at this point. There are arguments that people like to be renters, or that the happiness score between homeowners and renters is relatively equivalent if you look at other countries that are more renter heavy countries. But I believe that long-term wealth and generational wealth is built through owning real estate, and that we should be encouraging people to buy into real estate in one way or another and not just be renters for the rest of their life. And that's what I believe Spokane has been incentivizing for a while, is building things that allow people to rent instead of purchase. So if you have any questions about the Spokane real estate market, want any info on the Spokane Market Forum, or want any of these slides, I'd be happy to share them with you. Just leave a comment down below, shoot me an email or a text at the contact info on the screen. And if you are moving to the area, I am a realtor. I would love to help you with your move and answer any questions. You can schedule a Spokane discovery call at the link in the description to put a meeting on my calendar at a time that's convenient for you. I'd be happy to answer all your questions about the Spokane area and help you decide if Spokane is right for you. Thanks so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.